this is not my least favorite. My least favorite will be Amazing Spider-Man 1. But this ain't my top. This is my least favorite of my top 3. Spider-Verse. For some reason, it's everyone's favorite Spider-Man film. And it's the most simplest one told. And when I say simple, I do mean simple. Compared to the other ones. Compared to Spider-Man 3 and Homecoming. This is my least favorite, and this feels like the stupidest one. So it's about this kid Miles Morales who goes to college. Doesn't really have his choice by his controlling father. And his father doesn't really get along with his uncle until he gets killed off by the Kingpin, who's trying to get his family back from an alternate reality after Spider-Man drove his family away because they found out he was enemies with Spider-Man still, and found the Kingpin was a bad guy. I mean, you would assume that would make the headlines, but no. And then it's finally we'll find out after he made the headlines, but I guess, with so many press, people don't believe. With so many press comes little to no payoff. And his dad completely screws up the same script Carl Grace responsibility just for that. And Miles' choice and fashion to keep him staying is to wear untied shoelace. And people say, oh, it's brilliant. These Spider-Man fans think that is brilliant because he chooses, when he's become Spider-Man and he gets to share his powers, he chooses to wear that untied shoelace proudly, showing that there's still uniqueness in him. To be his own man, he's doing that too. Which they're not wrong, but it's kind of stupid when you say it out loud. It seems stupid in the context of the film. Just tie your shoelaces, man. Or wear Velcro. Or wear zippers on your shoelaces. Or wear those shoelaces that you only have to tie once and they're stretchable. Like kinds I wear. Just tie your shoes down. It would be hard to fight crime when you wear untied shoes. You'll be tripping all over the place, fool. But yeah, that's my number 1 plot pick. And it's a serious pick. And when he gets bit by a power, a radioactive spider, while doing Hour versus Uncle, which is street art, which is fine as a cop, so he's against that shit, but we don't know why. But it is Uncle's down with it. So he gets bit by 5 turns out radioactive spider, then he gets spider powers like Spider-Man. Oh, and then he runs into the real Spider-Man, Peter Parker, who gets killed off by the Kingpin and his goons. Right after he said Miles that he'll show him how the ropes of being a good Spider-Man. And he says, I don't really think you have a choice not to be Spider-Man, kid. Which is weird because so he seems like, and the reason why, so he's kind of controlling like his old controlling father, and the reason why it's in the release in the 3rd act, why it's so controlling, because he sees something special about him, so he wants to have Miles to push himself, just as Peter Parker, Spider-Man sees something special about himself, about Miles. So he gets killed off, and it's sad because he's one of the better, him and Depressed Spider-Man is one of the better things about the film. And Miles, by the third act, gets the hang of his powers and knows how to control them. And that's as much as his character goes. He has somehow less of a active character, he's on more screen than Peter Parker, Depressed Spider-Man. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. So, Peter Parker, Depressed Spider-Man, is P. Parker, and he's a little out of shape and gotten through a serious divorce and kind of become a selfish prick for that. And also he also is traumatized by his Aunt May's death, who he couldn't save. But with Miles, so Miles asks if he will train him, and he says, nope, basically, but then he actually says, you gotta listen, if you want to take my advice, don't do it, I did basically, but be your own, and don't do it because anyone else wants you to do it because you want to do it. And that's really good advice, what he gives Miles. And this is after he refused to help him get the control of his powers. And after Miles done some training. And, really lots of fail errors with no succeed. And he has all these cool powers, but he can't do it intentionally until the third act, when he actually is inspired by his dad, who sees something special in him. That's when he gets the control of his powers and he gets a cool new suit. And he helps save the multiverse with the other Spider people. Spider-Man, Spider-Pig, and Spider-Girls, which is also called Spider-Gwen. And the Noir Spider-Man. And the Japanese girl, Spider-Girl, who has a robot, whose best friend was a little spider, who is in control of a giant spider robot. The girl is, and also is the little radioactive spider, and she's best friends with it, the robot. The robot sadly dies, and she decides to avenge her friend, her BFF, by kicking ass on her own, and that's as much character flesh out, and that's as much character flesh out are you going to get for the other Spider-Man, except for Peter B. Parker. So Peter B. Parker, by the third act, thanks to because he decided to train Miles, because Miles pushed to Peter Parker train him, and they've gotten caught several times by the bad guys. Peter Parker starts to warm up to Miles. And so, Miles starts to slowly pull Peter Parker out of the selfish asshole state that Peter's in. But by the third act, he's back to being old Peter Parker after, also thanks to reunite with his, and also because of Miles, he helped Peter get over his grief, helped get over his depression, and he finally got to confront Aunt May from an alternate reality, saying that he's sorry about this, for everything that they couldn't save her, and then he apologized to MJ for not being there for her, and it's actually in both very touching and funny things. The Emma was more touching, and The MJ one is more just touching and awkward in a funny way. Unlike King Miles Morales is the main character, but he doesn't have as much. He has more screen time than Peter Parker, Peter B. Parker, but it has less development than Peter B. Parker. And Peter B. Parker decides to save Miles' life by deciding to be the hero and tie Miles up and ditch him because he doesn't believe he can do this thing to get he can get the job done because he can't control a single power intentionally. But when he doesn't to save the, but when he does, when the multiverse is going spinning out of control, he decides to save Miles again. Not let him be the hero. Instead, because he doesn't want the Spider-Man of this universe, which is Miles Morales, to die, to be gone. Because the world needs this Miles Morales Spider-Man. Then needs more than the universe needs Miles Morales Spider-Man than Peter B. Parker Spider-Man. And it's pretty noble, Peter Parker, that he sees it like that. So, and Miles thinks the same way of Peter. And he outsmarts him and he says, and he guessed what Miles is trying to tell him. And he says, I get it's a leap of faith, huh? Just like being Spider-Man. And as he's falling back to his multiverse, he says, "Not bad, kid." And that's the rest you see of Miles Morales, of Peter Parker. So Peter Parker takes down the Kingpin and says, "I love you," to his dad as Spider-Man. And Peter B. Parker goes back to his timeline. Well, the other Spider people go back to his timeline, and Gwen Stacy has formed, which is Spider-Gwen, who has formed a love relationship, also sort of a sister and brother relationship, which is kind of uncomfortable when you think about throughout the 3-act structure of the film. And she says Miles that she needs his help. And it ends on a cliffhanger like that. So, Peter B. Parker goes back to dress in a tuxedo and to kiss up to Mary Jane and does to say that he is going to be there for her. He does want a kid, and now he knows he's ready because he knows what it's like to be a dad because he hanged out with Miles. So he also made peace with Aunt May, and which gave him more confidence that he was ready to be a dad, and he also apologized to Mary Jane from the alternate reality, which made him more confident that he's man enough to do all this stuff, then he feels like he needs to be a dad, and that's where Peter's story ends. The movie's a bit of a mixed bag for me, but honestly I recommend it. It's very touching at time. I did cry when Parker got murdered in this film. It really was sad and really sad. Because Peter Parker has always been my favorite Spider-Man. Miles has always been my least favorite Spider-Man and still is my least favorite Spider-Man. And while Peter Parker has more character flaws to overcome than Miles, he is not the main focus. Miles is. So I guess if Peter came over more character flaws than Miles, but it was also the main focus, unlike the Miles, then I would love it and love it and love it more and more. But since what we got was Miles Morales overcoming more or less character flaws than Peter, and getting more screen time than Peter Parker. So I recommend this at the end of the day, and it's like 12 something. Yeah, and I give it a thumbs up.